Welcome to the Commanders Vault. My name is Joe. I am so happy that you are here. Tonight, we are going to go over a deck tech of the Scarab God. We made it a zombies deck. If you're new here, please like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. Just kind of helps our channel grow out. We're a new channel. My wife and I started playing Magic the Gathering about a year ago. I'm an Army veteran, and I really like the idea of applying my military tactics that I learned over 12 years of military experience into commander games of Magic. And every week, my wife and I go to our local game store and we play Commander. Tonight, we played in a 5-person pod, and I busted out my zombie deck, which is the Scarab God. I pulled the Scarab God in a Commander Masters pack, and my son is a big Minecraft fan, and as soon as he saw zombie on the card, he said, "Daddy, can you build a zombie deck?" So, with the help of the shop, I did. So, let's get into the deck. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, the Scarab God is a 5/5. He costs 3, a blue, and a black to cast. At the beginning of your upkeep, each opponent loses X life, and you scry X, where X is the number of zombies you control. So the idea is get as many zombies out as you possibly can to start pinging people, scrying, and then also you can pay 2, a blue, and a black, exile a target creature card from your graveyard, create a token that's a copy of it, except it's a 4/4 black zombie. So you can, once stuff's in your graveyard, you exile it, it comes back as a 4/4. And when it dies, the other cool thing about it is it returns to the owner's hand at the beginning of the next end step. So if it's your turn, board wipe, someone kills it, targets it, you can choose to bring it to your hand to get around that commander tax, and then you can just cast it again. So pretty cool mechanic on the Scarab God. We're running a couple planeswalkers. If you're running zombies, you need to have Liliana in your deck. I learned that. So the first one is Liliana Death Wielder. She costs 7 mana, so it's really hard to get her out. But the things that she does, her ultimate is the scariest thing. So once she comes down, if you get her to -10, it's pretty much game over. And then Liliana Dreadhorde General. Again, a lot to cast, but this is just a really great card draw engine. You can keep creating zombies. You can cause people to sacrifice stuff. This is a really good planeswalker to have in hand. I actually ended up drawing this near the end of the game and just unfortunately couldn't play it because of the board state. This is the pet card of the deck. Every deck has a pet card in it, and this is one. My wife's name is Tasha, and so when we found out there was a Tasha the Witch Queen, we had to get it. We got this card, we put it in here. This is just a really fun card to put into the deck. You can start exiling things, you can start taking care of other people's instants and sorceries, and creating tokens. There's not a lot of synergy in the deck with this card outside of the color combination, but this is a pet card all the same. All right, Acererak. This guy is one part of an infinite combo that we have in the deck. We have the infinite combo of Acererak with Rooftop Storm. Having those 2 cards in the deck make this go infinite. I think every zombie deck that exists has that combo, or at least the potential to have that combo. If you don't know how it works, Rooftop Storm is a 6 mana, it's 5 and 1 blue. When you cast it, zombie cards cost 0 to cast. So you automatically drop Acererak down. You'll enter a dungeon. As long as you don't enter the dungeon that brings him on the field, he comes back to your hand. So you just constantly ping him back and forth, going through the dungeons that he's not needed to complete. And there's one of them that gets you into a dark portal where it constantly will ping the entire board for 1 damage. So that infinite combo does that 1 damage over and over again until you kill everybody. So he is in that deck as a combo setup. And this game, I actually had both pieces in hand and was 1 mana shy. And I'll share about that when we talk about how the game went. Bloodletter of Alcazaz. This just causes more damage. This is a really fun one for any black deck. Also gives me a flyer. I do have another card that gives everything flying, but with only one card in the deck that does that, being able to have a flyer is really important. Braids. Braids ended up being my MVP tonight and also my downfall. I got Braids out, was my first creature on the board, and it was really good because it gave me card advantage because I would pick the things that people didn't want to discard. And I ended up doing lands 3 times, and by doing that, people actually did sack lands, which was great. But then also people didn't, and they lost 2 life, and I got to draw a card off of all of those. It was a pretty big deal for that game. So Braids in here just makes a ton of sense. And also with zombies, I want to fill my graveyard with zombies, so being able to do that, to sack that creature every turn, makes it a little bit easier to deal with. Cackling Fiend, just a good ETB zombie. Champion of the Perished. Just, again, a really, really good zombie. Costs 1 and just gets really big really fast. Corpse Harvester, another one. This is, if you can get this out and you have a good sack outlet, this is really good because you can get lands to your hand and you can get zombie cards, and it's just an ongoing cycle. All right, so with this card, the really great thing is as we're sacking stuff, as we're filling our graveyard, this is just getting bigger and bigger. And it also has the ability to, we can mill ourselves or we can mill someone else if we need to. Just another really good zombie card to have. Gives all our zombies 1/1s. And we can start peeing people for damage as our zombies die. So if we can sack a zombie. All right, Fell Horseman, Zombie Knight. You can return something from the graveyard. When it dies, it just goes to the bottom of your library. All right. Geralf. He is just a great guy to have in a zombie deck. Even though he's a human wizard, gives all your zombies flying. And you can sacrifice another creature, and you start creating zombies based on that same toughness. So just a really another fun one to have in your deck. Geth, Lord of the Vault. This is just a great way to get in for damage. And you get to steal other people's stuff. Gisa Girl, this is just, if you're going to be running a black-blue zombie deck, they should be in the deck. You get to cast zombies from your graveyard, so we want to put zombies in our graveyard, and then we can cast them from our graveyard. Another Gisa deck. This is a good way to start exiling. If another player is running graveyard recursion, this is a way to stop that. And you get to start taking other people's stuff. So this is not as bad as Turgid, but it's pretty bad. And then Gary, I think everybody's got the Grey Merchant of Asphodel in their deck. This is just a great way to kill people. Grimgrin, I ended up putting him in because we are doing some sacrificing of things, and he's just a really big boy. We do have ways to untap him, but putting him in here just gave us an opportunity for another sack outlet. Eornth of the Healing House, you're going to see her in a couple of the decks. Any time you get a chance to untap things. So this goes with Grimoire, because she can untap him with her ability. We have some things where you have to tap stuff down, so being able to untap them just makes this a great card. Master of Death, I think this is just like one of the best utility zombies that are out there. You get to surveil too, and if he's in your graveyard, you can just pay a life and get him back to your hand. Midnight Reaper, card draw. Mire Triton, it helps fill your graveyard, give you a little life, and a Death Touch blocker isn't that bad. Noxious Ghoul, This can get rid of a lot of the little teeny tiny tokens that are out there when people are creating all the 1/1s. It's a good way to just clear all that stuff out. Or if you just need a little bit extra help getting damage in, he's a good one to have. Another zombie. When you sacrifice him, you can give him a 2/2. Sewer Shambler, Swamp Walk. This is anytime you can get someone unblockable, that's just great. And this guy is unblockable if someone has a swamp. And you can bring him back out of your graveyard. Shambling Ghast. Again, you can create treasures, or you can put a 1/1 on something. Easy way to kill it. Siege Zombie. Good way to, again, start pinging people for damage. Vashta Narada. So this isn't a zombie, but this card is fun. It's indestructible. It has shadow, which it can't be blocked except by other creatures with shadow. And anytime on each end step, if something died, it gets a 1/1 counter. This card is a lot of fun. I was able to get a couple counters on this thing unblocked. It was good. Vengeful Dead, just another great way. So this is part of a combo. If you have Gravecrawler, I don't have Gravecrawler in this deck, but if you have Gravecrawler, you sack him, bring him back, sack him, bring him back, and you can just ping people for a ton of damage. Vile Entomber. It's a way to just fill your graveyard. So if you have Gravecrawler, you can search your deck, put Gravecrawler in your graveyard, and bring him out of it. Will Help, the Rock Cleaver. And this is normally the blue-black, or Dimir, I guess you would call it, commander for zombies. He's a really, really great one to have in your command zone, but if you have him in the 99, it's also really, really good. This teamed up with the Scarab God just makes this deck super, super strong. Alright, so now let's get into the sorceries. Beseech the Mirror. The great thing about this is we can search up pieces to our combos, or a lot of our other really good things. So one of the things that I use this for is I'll either go get Will Help and bring him out, or I'll go get our first zombie that's part of our infinite combo, Asterix. So you get him. Either one of those are usually my go-tos when I play Beseech the Mirror. Bubbling Muck, just a way to get additional mana. Crawl from the Cellar. You get to bring something out of the graveyard, and you get to do it again. Dread Return, again, bring something back from the graveyard. Exsanguinate, another way. Ring Sight, this is good. This is a tutor. I used this in the game. It ended up being a really good play. Tasha's Hideous Laughter. This is just a good way to solve some problems in people's decks. I was able to play this early in the game, and it got rid of a lot of things that could have caused a lot of problems for this deck. Zombie Apocalypse. If you're running zombies, you fill your graveyard with zombies, you cast this, it's going to be good. Dark Ritual. If you're running black, you probably have this. Drown in the Lock. It's a good either a counter or destroy. Murder. Destroy target. Negate. Counter target non-creature. Recoil. This is a really good one because you get to bounce a permanent and they have to discard a card. Reverse the Polarity. This is a house. If you guys aren't seeing this one is great. Slice from the Shadows. Anytime you can have an uncounterable XX, that's good. Snap. Just return target creature its owner's hand and untap 2 lands. Song of the Damned. You just get to add. This is a great one for when you've got a bunch of creatures and you just need that big overwhelming turn. Like to play Zombie Apocalypse, you hit this, you get all that mana, you drop that. That's how you do it. Tainted Indulgence, again, draw 2 cards, discard unless you got 5 or more mana in your graveyard, which you should. Artifacts, we're only running a couple artifacts. We have the Charcoal Diamond, Demir Signet, and Special Searchlight. All of these things are mana rocks, and we have the Transmogrant Altar. This is a great way to build up some of our colorless mana, and we're already trying to fill our graveyard anyways. Braid's Frightful Return. It's a good way to get people to start dumping their hand, get stuff out of your graveyard, and then you get to talk about then you get to target them just like Braids would do. You get to target and cause them to either sacrifice a non-land, non-token permanent. If they don't, they lose 2 life and you draw a card. So Braids allows you to force that. You can pick a person. It's a good way to target someone for that. Call of the Ring. The Ring Tempting is just a really good mechanic. This case of the Stash Skeleton, because we've got ways to sack stuff, you create this 2/1 skeleton, you sacrifice that 2/1 skeleton, and then you get to tutor for something in your library. Dreadhorde Invasion, this just, you get to amass zombies every turn. Alright, Exquisite Blood. We are running that infinite combo for Exquisite Blood and Sanguine Bond. They ping each other back and forth. All you need to do is be able to do 1 damage. Once you do that damage, it starts the chain. Leyline of Anticipation, being able to cast things with flash is a big deal in this deck. Polluted Bonds, this just helps clear the game really, really fast because people are playing lands all the time. In one game, someone can lose 10 to 14 life just playing lands. Rooftop Storm, this is the other half of that infinite combo. Sanguine Bond, again, the other half of the infinite combo for Exquisite Blood. Vampiric Rites, just another way to sack stuff and get card advantage. Warlock Class, just another way to ping damage across the board. And then we get into our lands. So let's talk about how the game went. So we were playing in a 5-person pod, and we were playing a Cat Tribal deck, which was the Eminence Commander. Then we were also playing directly across was a Shieldred. Then we were playing a Fairy Tribal, and then we were playing the new Teysa. And so it was fairly casual. The power level of the decks were fairly equal. There were some that had a little bit better mechanics than others, but overall all the decks were fairly equal. And started off fairly well. Everybody was making their land drops. No one was doing anything too crazy. Then I brought Braids out. And here's a lesson that I learned with that. I was sacking lands because what I was trying to do was force that early interaction and get some card draw. And I was getting a lot of lands. And I thought I had enough lands to do everything I needed. And I had a tutor in my hand. I drew Rooftop Storm very quickly. And so I thought, okay, once I get everything set up, I can go for the combo of Rooftop Storm and I'll tutor up Asterisk and I can just do that combo to win the game. Well, I sacrificed too many lands and I ended up with 5 lands on the battlefield, needed 6 lands to start that combo, and I just didn't draw the lands in time. I needed 1 more turn to draw the land. Also, I didn't draw any of my interaction. None of them. None of my counters, none of my returns. I didn't draw any of those. I did get my tutors. So it was kind of a mixed bag. I also didn't get as many zombies early on as I needed to fill my board and start filling my graveyard. So I was able to play the Vashta Narada card, which was fun because I was able to get in for some unblockable damage. But really, most of the game, I was sitting there trying to build my board, using Braid's ability to do things. But as far as combat damage, I think I only swung in 2 or 3 times the entire game. Playing this deck, a couple things that I learned about it is I need to really be selective about what it is that I'm sacking, because it requires the right types of mana to function. And where I messed up was I got rid of 3 total lands, and if I had even kept just one of those back, I would have been able to win the game. So all of the pieces are there for this to be a very well functioning deck. I think I just didn't get a good shuffle on this. I didn't get a good hand of cards. So this is a deck that I will absolutely play again. It was a lot of fun. It's a much different deck than I normally play. And it actually got some really great interaction around the table. When people saw the full deck list, they went, wow, that's actually pretty strong. Glad we stopped you when we did. And honestly, if I had not got killed on the turn that I got killed on, the next turn I would have won the game. So it was good that they removed me when they did, because that would have been the 6th land and everybody was out of their interactions by that time. So the board was set up perfectly for me to win the game, but my life total was just low enough for them to come in and kill me, and there was nothing I could do about it. So it was a fun game. This was a really fun deck to play. It kind of surprised me. I didn't know kind of what to expect with this, and I really didn't pilot it the way that it should have been. And even with the mess ups that I did, it put me in a place to win the game that I really just needed one more turn. So because of that, this deck is going to stay together. We're going to play it a lot. It's going to be fun, and we're going to see if I can close in on those combos and make it work. Overall, guys, this was a really, really fun night to play Commander. Anytime my wife and I can go together to play Commander and get in with a pod of people that are just having a good time playing, it's always fun. So the tactics for this deck were to fill the graveyard, bring stuff out of the graveyard, and ping with damage from all over the place. I was able to ping with damage from all over the place. My graveyard got exiled a couple of times, and I was able to start filling it. I was just a turn too slow. So, lesson learned on that one. I need to be a little bit less aggressive in the early game with this deck, play more control, start filling my graveyard, make sure I've got enough protection, and the game is mine. I hope you guys like this video. Scarab God is a really fun commander to use. He's hard to get rid of, and I just think that this deck has a lot of potential. So tell me what you guys think. What do you think of the deck list? You can find the deck list on Moxfield. Just look for Commanders Vault MTG. You can see our full deck list. You can find the Scarab God. I think we called it Scarab God Zombie Land. It's a really fun one. Tell me what you guys think. What would you add? What would you take away? I hope you guys all have a wonderful time. Find your local card shop. Get in a game. Try this deck. It's not very expensive, and it's just a ton of fun. So until next time, guys, shuffle up, play, find a good group, and have fun.